What is going on, everybody? Today I have a very exciting product review for you. It's something that made the internet very angry when it was first released. And something that is actually pretty damn awesome and I quite like. Before I start, big shout out to Jason from Gravel Cyclist for some of the footage of me riding. Alright, let's talk about it. Behold! The world's second widest drop handlebar, because this is of course the 55cm version of the curved Walmer. The biggest is a full 60 centimeters. Now before you rush to the comments section, I am aware of the Crust Bikes towel rack, but the curves are wider, as confirmed by whatbars.com. The Walmer bars were first developed by Curve to go with their new generation GMX V3, which is a monster of a bike with 3-inch tires. So they wanted a bar that was going to go with that, a fairly extreme end of the spectrum rig. They were so impressed by the 600mm prototypes, they gradually scaled it down, made a few more sizes, tested them out, and thought they were wicked. So they made a full range of Walmer bars. I want to give a little education on Curve, because for a small shed-based Melbourne business, they have a very large presence. It's all because they have some amazing riders in-house. The big names are Jesse Carlson and Sarah Hammond, who quite literally wrote a book on bikepacking. Then you've got Ryan Flynn, Adam Lana, and Steve Varga, all very accomplished adventure riders in their own right. Now that's a lot of in-house design talent going on there, so it's not surprising that Curve makes pretty big ripples within the bike industry for a small brand. Now for fitting, and getting them onto your bike has some logistical challenges because, in case you hadn't noticed, they're really wide. The biggest issue with installing is likely to be the length of your hosing and your cable housing. These 55cm bars were basically moving my shifters a full 9 centimeters further away from each other compared to the handlebars that were already on it, which were a regular 46cm. Thankfully, the Grove RAD that I fitted the bars to had quite a lot of slack, so I didn't have to re-hose or re-cable anything. We did have to get creative with the bar tape and sort of let one of the hoses out a couple of wraps earlier. On the bar tape, it does come with the bars and it is extra long to make sure you have enough of it. It's also quite comfortable and very grippy, feels nice, so yeah, I actually quite like it. You don't have the world of choice with these bars, so it's good to see that Curve have developed a good quality product to ship with them. Once the bike fitting is sorted, it's now time to hit the road and the trails. And yes, you'll probably notice, these bars are pretty damn wide. The reach is quite short at 60 mils, the drop is shallow at 110 mils, and there's quite a dramatic 29-degree flare. Add to that sort of a 7-degree back sweep towards you, and you've got a very interestingly shaped bar here. That said, Curve have done a really great job of optimizing everything. Despite the fact it's really big and kind of crazy, everything feels roughly where you want it to be. When you're holding them, it doesn't feel strange. It does feel really well thought out. I especially loved being on the drops. That flare and sort of the placement of them means it's actually super comfortable to be there, and it's also very easy to get into because it's such a shallow drop. I wouldn't say the ergonomics are quite perfect. I do have just one small gripe, and that's the diameter. It gets a little bit narrow the further you get from the stem. And that's pretty much it, really. All the conversation about the crazy width of the bars has really overshadowed how ergonomically good they are, which to me is actually much more important than the width itself. So, what effect do the Walmers have on the actual ride feel of your bike? Let's look into it. They will of course have quite a dramatic effect on your handling. When I first started using them, I just had the 110mm stem that was on the bike, and they felt pretty dopey and pretty slow, as you can imagine. But once I dropped it back to a 90mm stem, it really changed the bike and made it much more lively, and it felt much more normal. Now I've sort of gotten so used to it that I don't really think about it that much anymore. They just feel normal, which is especially good because the Grove that it got fitted to is a really aggressive gravel frame, sort of fairly close to a cyclocross bike, so it's not one that you would think would suit a bar of this particular size, but with a bit of dialing in, yeah, I actually do think it suits really well. The one place they do feel a bit strange is when you're doing a big sort of pedal out of the saddle and you are just pulling from a really wide position. that still does feel quite strange. But other than that, it feels quite natural. There's a lot of bonuses for control as well. If anyone who's been a mountain biker will sort of understand that having those wide hand positions gives you a great feeling when you're steering when things are technical. Some of the tracks I like to ride very often do get quite rugged, and having a wider hand position with that beautiful angle on it really just made me feel a lot more confident than I have on regular bars. On technical and tight stuff, they're pretty good too. I quite liked how they felt getting threaded through uphill switchbacks instead of other tight corners like that. So, who do I think should buy the Walmers? Well, straight off the bat, I think the 55 and 60 centimeters should only be used by people who are bikepacking, or maybe, I don't know, Connor Dunn or something, because he's a giant. For most people, they are kind of overkill. The 46 and 50 centimeter variations I think are really good for the general gravel cycling market. You do need to factor in some things before you buy though. Mostly your physiology and your bike's geometry. Those are really important considerations to make sure you get the right size. For bikepackers, these just make complete sense. The Walmers give you so much extra real estate for bags and mounts and all the kinds of crazy crap you end up with on your bars when you're bikepacking. So if you do spend most of your time just sort of gravel grinding but will occasionally go bikepacking, I'd say buy a size bigger than what you think you'll need. So if you thought you were going to get 50s, maybe get the 55s. They'll just give you a little bit more space when you really need it when you're out bikepacking. Let's tie this all together then. Curve has made a very forward-thinking product. It might seem crazy today, but I think this is the way the gravel and invention market is going. They're ergonomically excellent, give you great bike control, and give bikepackers tons of handlebar real estate. At 180 Australian dollars, they're okay value, especially considering that they have bar tape included. Yes, you can find cheaper bars out there, but you can't really find much else like this. For those willing to take the plunge on a slightly crazy product, I think there's a lot of great things about the Walmers, and they will suit a lot of people. In some ways, it's a very self-selecting product. A lot of people will look at the width of it and go, that's really stupid and I don't need that. And that's not really going to be the market. If you had a look at them and you have seen what I've shown you today and go, yeah, actually that does sound good, then these are for you. They're a good product, but they need a willing buyer, someone who wants to give them a chance. And that is where I'm going to leave it. Thank you so much, guys. Down below, I have a link to the written review on La Velocita. Thank you so much for joining me as always. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that stuff helps me out so much. Ride safe and stay healthy, and I will see you next time.